Hey everyone, I just want to get back to another episode of Close to Closing as the end of the year approaches. The last one I did was on December 2nd, and this is a follow-up of everything that happened since then. Let's get to it. Okay, so here's the list again. As you can see, most of them actually closed. Only Autodesk and DXC are still open at this time. And one of the reasons I chose to wait a little bit before following up with this was because I was waiting to see what happened with ADNT there at the top. As you can see, it was here for 304 days and it closed today. And I closed it at a measly profit of $23.86, which is basically a scratch for me considering what I was attempting to make, which was a little over $800. All right, here's ADNT, and this gray box right here is where I was anticipating it to close based on the theta and the delta move that happened. But as it turns out, it actually closed a little earlier, and I need to look back on why that happened, but it was pretty close even here. This may have been a bit of an overestimation on how far it had to drop on my part. In any case, I am so glad that it's over because it started way back here at the yellow arrow here at the front, and it went through all of this wiggle, and there's a note to make here because I actually realized about the 10th or the 11th that I had made a mistake in my mathematical calculations of what my exit price needed to be, and it was actually higher than I had it set for. So there were several days, probably a week or so, where I actually could have closed at a scratch but didn't because my math was wrong. That's a good moral to take away. Always double check your math. All right, since we're here, we're just going to go through the list here. ADS closed here on the 6th, and as you can see, it was just kind of a regular move. It dropped down, and all I had to do was just basically wait for the theta to pass, and the IV was low enough that it managed to exit no problems. ALB, as you can see, it closed here on the 9th, and this was mainly just a drop in the IV. Cracker Barrel managed to flip over, and with low volatility and just enough of a rise from its drop to close out, no problems. Now Goose is another interesting story because I went through a lot to get this out, and it wasn't just a single position. There were actually many positions that I was juggling at a given time. I had basically overstepped my trading boundaries and had put a couple of awkward positions on. After a bit, I managed to clear those positions out and ended up just having a naked position. If we go back here, we can actually see that with Goose, I actually made $218 on this close. That is because I simply waited for the long stock that I had owned to rise back up to an adequate price, and I just chose to exit at that point. And lastly, as far as the close are concerned, INTAP. So I opened here, and as you can see, it just rushed its way up, and really what it came down to is just a combination of a drop in IV and a just enough theta, just enough time decay to happen for it to drop out. So excellent there, worked out well. Now the other two that remain are Autodesk and DXC. Let's take a look at those and see where they are. All right, Autodesk. Autodesk is continuing to climb even though there's a bit of a drop today. And I'm still debating on what I'm going to do with this. I may just go ahead and close this out at a scratch when I get an opportunity. And that's mainly because of my research on Autodesk indicates it might be on an uptrend, and I just simply don't feel like fighting against it. DXC. DXC is just simply sitting there. It's basically hovering right over my original break-even point, and I'm just going to let it ride, and we're going to see what happens. So coming back as a quick summary, most of the positions that I had talked about on December 2nd have closed. Two are remaining open, Autodesk and DXC. Overall, I made some pretty decent profit on these. not quite $1,500 in profit. One I had to close for a scratch, but the others ended up with a very nice profit on them. If you have any questions, feel free to leave some comments down below. Thanks a lot.